Hi guys, welcome to Pivot and Profit with Priscilla. Today I want to have a discussion about how you can win your first government contract as a beginner. My producer Anna is going to be on audio with me. She won't be on camera, but she's going to help me flesh out some questions, and we're trying a new approach to bring you guys the information you need, but also maybe ask some more in-depth questions about the topic. So let's get started with what you need to do first. You need to register your business. Registering your business is going to begin on sam.gov. Sam.gov is the place where you're going to go to set up your entire business profile. And at the end of that setup, you're going to get a UEI number. That UEI number is now going to be your business identifier. That's how you're going to identify your business in every contract proposal. Most information that is going to be requested of you is always going to include your UEI number. Your sam.gov profile setup can be pretty daunting and difficult sometimes. So I'm going to be providing products to help you get through that process and provide you the information you need and how you need to fill things out.
So when you were setting up your sam.gov, what would you say was some of the biggest things that you ran into? Because I'm fairly sure if I went to do it today, I'd be looking like, wait, what?
So sam.gov can be a little confusing. There are a lot of questions and information that they're asking about you as a business that you may not know how to answer well. Some of them are just typical yes or no questions, but some of them can really get you thinking about, well, am I this type of business? So like I said, the digital products I'm going to be providing is going to kind of show you how to get past some of that. And it's going to show you the important parts of the profile that you definitely need to fill out. Also with sam.gov, there's going to be a cage code process that you're going to go through where they're going to be verifying this type of information. And one of the issues I had was with my pediatric home health care agency, because I've registered both of my businesses on sam.gov in order to win contracts. But one of the issues that I had for myself was that my agency has a suite at Regis. Regis is a company, and you can get a lease to have a suite for your business. Well, that suite is not a registered address. Regis itself has a registered address, but you have a suite number. So sometimes that can become a difficulty when getting your cage code, and getting past that process can sometimes be difficult. But as long as you explain that I have a suite, it's not its own business address, they usually approve you and get you through the process pretty quickly. The next thing you're going to want to do is set up your DSBS profile. That's your dynamic small business search profile. In creating your DSBS profile, you're going to definitely want to fill in the keyword section. DSBS profiles are where contracting officers go to search for government contractors. The first thing they search for is keywords. If you leave that section blank, you're not going to get found. Typical keywords are going to be, what type of service do you provide? Are you a woman-owned business? Are you a small business? These are the type of things that government contracting officers are going to be looking for when they're looking for service providers. Finally, another thing you want to have completed is your capability statement. Your capability statement is like your resume. It's a resume for your business. It tells a contracting officer what you do, how long you've done it, what type of experience you have, what your NAICS codes are. Your NAICS codes, NAICS, are the identifiers for your services. There's NAICS codes for janitors, janitorial services, laundry services. Any type of service provider has a list of NAICS codes that need to be included in that DSBS profile, and also in your capability statement as well.
When you were setting yours up, what would you say was the biggest hindrance for you? Did you run into any issues? Because I'm sure it's the government. So I know for me, I'm always I don't want to go to jail, so I want to do this right, because that's where my mind goes. So what would you say was some of the biggest things that you ran into when you were doing yours?
My capability statement, my biggest issue is I didn't know how to set one up. I didn't know what it looked like. I didn't know what I needed to have on it. The only thing I was told is that it needs to be one sheet. It needs to be one page. It does not need to be multiple pages. So my personal resume might have 2 pages at most. My capability statement now has to tell all the information it can about my business in a 1-pager. Is it in color? Do I have graphics? Things like that. So again, I'm going to be providing a template of my capability statement that has won me a number of government contracts that you guys can use for your business as well. Again, the most difficult thing for me is understanding what it needed to look like. How can I stand out in a world of government contractors with this one piece of paper? The next thing you're going to want to do is learn how to find contracts. sam.gov is going to be one of the best places to find government contracts. You can go in here and you can filter your search. You can filter the search by state. If you put in state of Georgia, it's going to give you a list of federal government contracts in the state of Georgia. You can filter by past contracts that have already been awarded. You can filter by your NAICS code, which determines the services you provide. Set your filters up and search for government contracts. Now, government contracts are posted on sam.gov all the time. There are a lot of companies out here that will try to sell you packages. You pay them a certain amount of money and they'll send you government contracts or they'll send you state contracts. This isn't necessary. Unless you're a large company and you just don't have time to search through sam.gov. Even as a small company, sometimes I didn't have time to search through sam.gov all the time. An alternative and a free alternative is PTAC, PTAC, Procurement Technical Assistance Centers. They have been a lifesaver for me. This is a free organization. Government contractors can set up a profile with them. They will create a profile for you and they will create a keyword search. They send me emails every day about new government contracts that have been posted. It has been very beneficial because sometimes it can just become daunting to go to sam.gov every day searching for contracts. PTAC, or the one here is called Apex. The PTAC here in Georgia is through Georgia Tech and it's called Apex. And just getting those daily emails saying, here are new government contracts for you. They even sometimes list state contracts on there as well. But they'll send you that email and they'll have a list of all the government agency and multiple state agencies that are looking for service providers like yourself. Finally, you don't have to win the contract in order to be a contractor. You can be a subcontractor.
So with PTAC and Apex and all those details, like how often would you say you're procuring? Like I know they send you these things on a daily basis, but in your experience, like how often are you locking in a contract through them?
A lot of my contracts have come from direct contact from contracting officers, primarily through my DSBS profile or my sam.gov profile. The thing that these searches do for me is it helps me understand at most what contracting officers are looking for in my field, how many contracts are coming out in my field, and it gives me an idea of what those requirements are. The thing about government contracts that are coming from sam.gov is many of them do require proposals. Proposals can be a huge task to prepare. So although I'm getting emails about 80 contracts that have come across in the U.S., from federal to state contracts, I'm not going to bid on all those contracts because it's too much work to try to prepare a proposal for each one of these contracts and hit every requirement and every piece of information they need. So you have to be selective. Again, the biggest thing about receiving these is being selective, going through the list and picking out the ones you feel you're best qualified for. It's just going to cut down time from you having to go to sam.gov every single day and seeing what's out there. And contracts are literally posted every single day. Subcontracting is another way to find contracts. You don't have to win the contract yourself. Many businesses offer subcontracting to smaller businesses to fulfill the government contract. There are many contracts that come out that have multiple requirements in them. The government might need a building built, but They might want you to provide the janitorial services for that building. They might want you to provide the landscaping services for that building. A construction company is not necessarily always in the business of being a janitor or doing landscaping. So they will outsource those requirements to other small businesses. Subnet.sba.gov is a very good website to find subcontracting opportunities. This is where you're going to go to see where larger companies are looking for your services because they've won a contract or they're being renewed on a contract and they want to outsource those services.
As we look at, like, you know, we're based here in Atlanta, Georgia, and FIFA is coming to the city in 2026. So what advice, like, just based off of this information alone that you've given so far, what advice would you have for those who are wanting to partner with the government, whether it's beautification, all these projects, even small businesses? Like, what do you think is coming down the pipeline that could be a potential for subcontracting?
So FIFA is going to be something huge that is coming to Atlanta, and everybody is looking for a way to get their business in the door and to make money. So the thing about government contracting is sometimes people think large scale, federal contracts with the VA, with the military base, but there are a lot of state and local contracts. When I say local, I want to be clear that local is City of Atlanta. Local is Gwinnett County, Fulton County. Local is municipalities. Every one of these websites have procurement pages. What you're going to look for. You're going to look for their procurement page. Their procurement page is going to tell you what they need. And not just government. There are businesses, Delta. There are businesses in the city that have procurement pages that are looking for service providers. So when it comes to FIFA, this is what you're looking for. You're going to the City of Atlanta webpage. You're going to the State of Georgia webpage, their procurement page, and you're looking ahead. You're looking for what government contracts are going to be coming out. The government is looking for all types of services and products. Someone's going to have to clean up the stadiums every day. Someone's going to have to wash the jerseys and the shirts of the players every day. You have to think outside the box and think about the services that have to be provided for events like this to go on, for events like this to be sustained in a city or in an area. What are the types of things that need to be provided on a daily or weekly basis to make this happen? Find the problem, be the solution. The government's going to post the problem. They're going to post what they need. They're going to post what they're looking for. You just have to figure out how you can be the solution. So when it comes to FIFA, stalk the City of Atlanta webpage. Stalk the State of Georgia webpage because we know it's coming. Wherever the stadium is going to be, in Marietta, in Atlanta, stalk the webpage. Their procurement page is going to tell you what they need via services or products. Past performance can be another task when it comes to providers searching for contracts. Past performance is when the government is asking, what have you done in this space? You want to apply to do laundry for us? Give us an example of where you've done laundry for someone else. Say you're a new business. Say you've never had a government contract. They're not specifically asking for government contracts, although that can be your past performance. They're asking for your experience. Your experience could be one of my first contracts. When they asked for my past performance, we used to clean the sheets for a few Airbnb providers. So when their tenants would check out, they would gather up all their laundry. We would go to their Airbnb locations. We would clean their sheets. We would bring them back to them. That was my past performance. That was my experience. I had experience doing laundry for Airbnb providers. Your experience doesn't always have to come in the form of other government contracts. It's just, what work have you done in this field before? Another way to get your past performance experience is your team. Someone on your team may have had experience doing this type of work. They can be listed in your proposal. This person and their experience can be listed in your proposal. You, as the business owner, maybe you owned a job at a laundromat. Maybe you owned a job back in the day where you were doing the specific type of work you're doing as a business now. That is still considered past experience, past performance or experience. And at the end of the day, if you don't have past performance, you need to say that. Don't leave the section blank. Don't ignore it. In the section, just explain. We don't have experience in this area. This would be our first contract. And explain how you're going to be organized, how you're going to get this contract completed in a way that's going to be valuable to the government.
Have you seen instances to where people have no experience and they're actually getting these contracts? Because that sounds a little wild to me.
My first contract, I had no experience. My first contract, we owned a laundromat. However, well, I don't want to say I had no experience. I did put down the Airbnb as my experience. I had no government contracting experience. So I can't say. I've heard of people that have discussed the fact that they've applied for contracts and they've listed that they don't have experience. I've heard contracting officers say that they will not discard your proposal for not having experience. Now, there are things they will discard your proposal for. If you skip a section or do not answer a question, your proposal's out. And that's why I'm saying don't skip it or not answer it just because you don't have the experience. You can literally say, I don't have the experience. If you don't qualify in the requirements section, if it says you have to have experience and that's a requirement, that's different. If they're just asking you about your past performance, tell them you don't have past performance. Or find someone to bring on your team that does. Another way to win contracts are partnering with other businesses. You can partner with other businesses and place bids, businesses that can provide the experience if it's required. Finally, certifications. A big way to set yourself aside in the government contracting space is to have certifications. Woman-owned small business, economically disadvantaged woman-owned small business, veteran-owned small business, service-disabled veteran-owned small business, and small business are all certifications in the federal government contracting space. Disadvantaged business enterprise, minority business enterprise, and airport concession disadvantaged business enterprise are all certifications in the state government contracting space. Apply for as many certifications that fit your company. Government contracts are often set aside for women, for veterans, for minorities, and if you don't have these certifications, you don't get to compete in these spaces. It helps when you're a small business. It helps not to have to go up against the giant company that can lower their costs because they're bringing in so much volume of work. When contracts are set aside specifically for a woman-owned small business, only a woman-owned small business can apply for that contract. That leaves out the large corporations that you have to compete with. So getting your certifications can seem, again, like another daunting task. There are companies out here that will charge you to help you get your certifications. I'm here to provide you the template, information, and the roadmap I use to complete my own certification process. I'm Priscilla Grant. I have a federal government contracting business in the service space, and I have a pediatric home health care state government contracting business in the service space. I have been in federal government contracting for 5 years. We've won a number of government contracts, and we love making the government our customer. Go to my website, download the products that are going to help you get to the space we're at. I'm here to provide you the roadmap. Thank you for listening.